is a motion on the need to address the effect of perennial flooding in Rehabilitating, Orolu, Goronyo Dam, and Oshoba Federal Constituency, standing in the name of Honorable Adewale Morufu Adebayo. Honorable Adebayo is hereby invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Dr. Abdulmaruf Adewale Adebayo. I represent the good people of Rehabilitating, Orolu, Oloruda, and Oshobo Federal Constituency. I'm from Osun State. I rise this morning to move a motion on the need to address the perennial flooding in the Rehabilitating, Orolu, Oloruda, and Oshobo Federal Constituency. The House notes that 4 communities in the Rehabilitating, Orolu, Oloruda, and Oshobo Federal Constituency are prone to rain disaster threats on annual basis in the past 15 years. The House also notes that the worst affected areas are Owo Ope Ori Aye Mogba, Ese Ogba, Alaba Romolaran, CAC Gbami CAC Primary School, to mention but a few. The House also notes that incessant heavy rainfall, which usually occurred on a yearly basis, is gradually washing away private and public buildings, resulting into loss of life and properties worth millions of naira. The House aware that people who are displaced by the flood disaster are passing through devastating effect. The House also aware that due to incessant flooding in the areas, commercial activities were grounded to halt as stores in the market were submerged, while goods and property washed away, while ancestral homes and graves were wiped away in the affected communities. The House also takes cognizance of the need for urgent intervention by the federal government to provide lasting solution to avert further loss of lives and properties. The House resolve our prayers as follows: to urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to provide urgent relief assistance to the affected communities. The House also urge the Federal Ministry of Environment, Works and Housing and other relevant ministries, departments and agencies to release funds for dredging of block canals and other hydraulic structures. The House further urged the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide relief materials to the affected victims. Again, urge the Ecological Fund Office to take practical measures to forestall future occurrence. Lastly, sir, the House mandates the Committee on Environment, Works, Housing, Emergency and Disaster Preparedness, when constituted, to ascertain the level of damage in the affected areas and liaise with the relevant ministry, department and agencies to make provision in the 2024 budget estimate for the construction of water drainage, erosion control measures to put an end to the double environmental challenges and address the issue on annual basis to avoid the occurrence of flood in the affected areas. Mandate the Committee on Environment, Works, Housing, Emergency and Disaster Preparedness when constituted to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, sir, I so move.
Honorable David.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I remain Ogel David Agada, member representing Oju Obi Federal Constituency of Benue State. I rise this morning to second the motion heavily moved by my distinguished colleague. I so second.
Honorable colleague, this is another disaster-related motion, so we'll go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Environment, Works, Housing, Emergency, and Disaster Preparedness when constituted. The sixth order of the day is a motion on the need to rehabilitate Benin, Moat, walls of Benin to boost the tourism industry in the country, standing in the name of Honorable Murphy Osaru Omoruyi. Honorable Omoruyi is hereby invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Murphy Osaro Omoruyi, representing the wonderful people of Ego, Ikpobaka Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Benin City, Edo State, in the South-South region of Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, I rise to raise a motion on the need to rehabilitate the Benin Moat, otherwise known as the walls of Benin, to boost the tourism industry in the country. Mr. Speaker, the House notes that in the light of the country's economic situation, it is crucial to diversify our nation's economy beyond relying solely on crude oil and invest in other aspects of the economy like tourism. Also note that there are numerous tourist attractions and sites which have been neglected and abandoned over the years. For example, the Benin Moat, which was declared federal government monument in 1961. Mr. Speaker, the House further notes that the Benin Moat was constructed between 13th and 15th century with a distance of 6,500 square kilometers and a depth of 60 meters, which was described by the European Visitors Note as the world's largest earthwork in 1668, and by the Guinness Book of World Record as the world's largest man-made structure, far larger than the Great Wall of China. Mr. Speaker, concerned that the Benin Moat is fast disappearing and if not rehabilitated urgently, may fade into oblivion within our lifetime. Believes that the moat, if well preserved, can be used as World Heritage Site, registered with the UNESCO. Cognizant that the Great Wall of China is visited by over 10 million people a year, and with a yearly return of about $700 million. With adequate investment and rehabilitation of the Benin Moat, similar returns can be made by the federal government. Also cognizant that by investing in tourism, the government can revitalize this site and capitalize on the potentials they hold to boost the nation's economy. Aware that the federal government has shown great desire in the tourism sector in Benin and in Nigeria in general. Hence, the strong and very important role it plays in the return of Benin artifacts, and also the immense contribution to the building of the development of Benin Artifact Museum. Mr. Speaker, the House therefore resolved to, 1, urge the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture to make provision in the 2024 budget estimate to revitalize the Benin Moat and later proceed to other federal government monuments like the Suku landscape in Gamawa State and the Osogbo Grove in Osun State. 2, mandate the Committee on Culture and Tourism to investigate, when constituted, to investigate the current situation of the Benin Moat and immediately draft out a conservation and long-term management development plan and report back to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Any seconder? Honorable Okonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I rise this morning. Sorry, my name is Chris Nkwanta, and I represent the good people of Okwa East and Okwa West Federal Constituency. I rise this morning to second the motion ably moved by my colleague, and I so second.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. Again, this is an infrastructure-related motion, so we'll just go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against, you say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Culture and Tourism when constituted. The seventh order of the day is a motion on the call for the provision of first responder services to the victims of road accidents on the highways. Standing in the name of Honorable Olamijuwon Lo Alao Akala. Honorable Akala is hereby invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Olamijuwon Ayodeji Alao Akala. I hereby rise this afternoon to move a motion on the call for the provision of first responder services to the victims of road accidents on the highways. The House notes that a first responder is a person that with specialized training who is amongst the first to arrive and provide assistance, pre-hospital care, or incident resolution at the scene of an emergency to victims of an accident until they are handed over or delivered to a hospital. The House also notes that first responders typically include law enforcement officers, in the instant case, commonly known as Federal Road Safety, Nigerian Police Force, paramedics, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians. The House is aware that in some jurisdictions, such as the United States of America, emergency departments personnel, such as doctors and nurses, are also required to respond to disasters and critical situations, designating them first responders. The House recalls that one of the primary responsibilities of the Federal Road Safety Commission is to make sure that Nigerian highways are safe for motorists and other road users. The House also recalls that Section 8C of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, Act gives FEMA the responsibility of planning and managing the development and implementation of road safety standards. The House is concerned that innocent lives and dreams have been cut short on Nigerian highways, mostly as a result of the absence of or slow medical response to road accident victims. The prayer, sir, the House resolves. The House urged the federal government to train and deploy first responders to all major highways in Nigeria to help stabilize victims of road accidents before handing them over to the nearest healthcare institution for further attention. Also urge the federal government to provide a toll-free line dedicated to the use of highways, and further urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and other relevant ministries, to provide fully equipped ambulances at every 15 kilometers point on every major highway and every 35 kilometers point on all minor highways in the country, and mandate the Committee on Federal Road Maintenance, when constituted, to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Jaha. Is it Jaha? Sorry. You didn't raise your hand. Yeah. Please, go ahead. Can you press it, please? Press the button. Are you okay? It's you I recognize. Sir, you're not the one. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is, Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, my name is Honorable Mohammed Ang Abashehu Gurka, member representing Zaki Federal Constituency from Bauchi State. I stand to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleague. Thank you, sir.
This is a disaster-related motion again, so just go ahead and put the question. Go ahead. Press the button. Press your on. Just go ahead.
My amendment is that I request that in a motion of this nature, since it's treating victims, it's a healthcare related issue. So we need to add the Committee on Healthcare Services in conjunction with the Committee on FERMA when it is formed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this amendment should say aye. Sorry, any seconder to this amendment? A seconder first. Honorable Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Chief Dr. Billy Famous Adesuwa Osawaru, representing the good people of Orionwa Onwode Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Edo State. I remain the Obazonwa Benin Kingdom, a proud Benin chief. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to second the amendment ably moved by my honorable colleague. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this amendment should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support of this motion as amended should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness, Federal Road Safety Commission, and Health Services when constituted. The eighth order of the day is a motion on the need to compel oil and gas companies to stop gas flaring and convert them to provide 24-hour electricity to Isoko communities and environs. Standing in the name of Honorable Jonathan Ajirogene Okodiko. Honorable Okodiko is hereby invited to move this motion.
Hey, come on, use this one. Use this one. Come on, use this one. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Ukodiko Jonathan Ajiriogene, representing the good people of Isoko North and South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion for the need to compel oil and gas company to stop gas flaring and convert same to provide 24-hour electricity to Isoko communities and environs. The House notes that Nigeria is a major gas producer with significant waste being flared around the world, with a large chunk being flared as waste. Also note that Isoko Federal Constituency is in debtor state, contributes significantly to the nation's oil and gas hosting, with over 8 flow stations and gas facilities impacted by flaring activities. Further notes that the flared gas resources, a major and cheap source of electricity, capable of taking care of the power needs of the host communities and even beyond, that can in turn stimulate the economic growth of the country through small and medium-scale businesses. Aware that the volume of gas being flared have devastating effect on the lives and property of the Isoko host communities, ranging from various ailments associated with the smoke-polluted environment to corrosion that destroy roofing sheets and poor agricultural output as a result of intense heat on the environment. Disturbed that in spite of the huge contributions to the oil and gas wealth of the nation, with antecedent environmental and health hazard, Isoko Federal Constituency has been in a total blackout, though the electricity can be easily tapped from the waste gas resources. Also disturbed that the staff of these international oil companies and other oil and producing companies working in Isoko land live in extravagant comfort with 24-hour electricity generated eternally for operational bases and residential areas, while the host communities and their environments live in squalor, watching helplessly the opulent lifestyle of the companies, with their only offense being host communities. Concerned that the deliberate refusal by the oil and gas companies and the successive administration to permanently tackle the infrastructural deficit like electricity and could have been easily generated from the waste gases have over the years made Isoko land, as well as other communities in the Niger Delta region, a hotbed for protests and agitation that has sometimes crippled the economy and loss of precious human lives. Believe that with the environmental hazard of gas flaring resulting to the harmonious revenue loss, there is an urgent need to compel the oil and gas companies to activate their corporate social responsibilities and provide electricity to the communities in Isoko land from the fled gases through gas turbines by taking advantage of the recent Electricity Act of 2023. The House resolved to all the Federal Ministry of Power, Petroleum Resources, and other relevant agencies of government to compel the oil and gas producing companies engaged in the flaring of gas to convert fled gas to electricity for the benefit of the people of Isoko Federal Coast, and mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance when constituted to ensure implementation. I so move.
Seconder. Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, I am Honorable Dr. Anthony Adebayo Adepoju. I represent the good people of Ibarapa Central, Ibarapa North, Federal Constituency. Honorable Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Amendment. Honorable Jimmy Benson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Baba Jimmy Benson. I represent the good people of the Ikorodu Federal Constituency. Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the two prayers, and I believe the appropriate thing to do, sir, is to set up an investigative hearing with a view to unraveling why gas is flared instead of it converted to electricity. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder to this amendment? Point of order? What's the point of order, Honorable Oshobo?
Honorable Olumide Oshoba, representing Abeokuta North, Obafemi Ode, and Odeda Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 9, Rule 6. Now, the point is this. Honorable Munir already moved a motion that a public hearing on gas flaring was inaugurated yesterday, and this is very similar, the prayers, to that. It's a duplication. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What I understand in the ad hoc committee, the mover of this motion, are you satisfied that already an ad hoc committee is working on this issue of gas flaring?
Progress already. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, at the end, it is the verdict of the House. So those in support of this amendment should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Then on the main motion, those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Legislative Compliance when constituted.
Order, please. Honorable colleagues, silence, please.
Honorable colleagues, the ninth order of the day is a motion on call to the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to address problems confronting electricity consumers, standing in the name of Honorable Afolabi Maruf. Honorable Maruf is hereby invited to move the motion.
Hello, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Afolabi Afuape. I'm the voice of group and civilized people of the Premier Local Government, Abeokuta South. I'm from Ogun State, the gateway to the country. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I stand before you this afternoon to move a motion to call on Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to address the problem confronting electricity consumers in the country. The House knows that the Electricity Act 2023 prescribes a comprehensive and national framework to guide the operation of the privatized, contract and rule-based electricity market, within the ambit of which every participant in Nigeria electricity supply.
Honorable Ade, Honorable Idem, please.
Must operate. Also note that the Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission, as the Nigeria Electricity Supply Industry Regulator, has among other obligations to ensure adequate supply of electricity to consumers, ensure that prices charged are fair to consumers, though sufficient to allow the finances of these two activities, as well as enable them to make a reasonable profit for efficient operation. Aware that 11 electric division companies are entities established by Electric Power Sector Reform Act 2005 to supply electricity to power consumers with obligation to the respective operational areas. Also aware that the distribution companies have the statutory duty to provide for power transmission facilities and other ancillary services to ensure reliability and support the transmission of electricity from generation side to consumers. Concerned that the division company raking a whooping of 247.33 billion in the first quarter of 2023, as against 232.32 billion generated in the fourth quarter of 2022, represent a rise by 20.81% compared to 204.74 generated first quarter of 2022 year-on-year consideration. Whereas electricity supply declined from 5956 gigawatt hour in the first quarter of 2022 to 5852 gigawatt hour first quarter of 2023 year-on-year consideration, despite the increase in earnings. Concerned that distribution companies have demonstrated unfaithfulness toward the social contract with Nigerians as ensuring and enhanced by the traditional effect of the Electric Power Reform Act 2025 to the Electricity Act 2023. Having been inefficient in their services, with condemnable attitudes towards expected investment, abrogating their statutory.
Honorable Abdul Samad, what's your point of order?
I think it's on. I'm Abdul Samad Dasuki, I'm representing Kebe Tambuwal from Sokoto, Mr. Speaker. I come order 9, Rule 6, which has to do with same question in the same parliament. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, just last week, Honorable Ali Madaki, the Deputy Minority Leader, brought a motion with the same prayer. So based on that, Mr. Speaker, I think we should, so it's the same prayer. Honorable Madaki has it, and we have just read the prayer here, together with it. So, Mr. Speaker, that is my point of order. We have taken this motion before, and I don't think we should take it based on order 9, Rule 6. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clerk. Can you confirm that we took a similar motion last week? Similar motion on the same subject matter with the same prayers? Can you be able to confirm to us if that has taken place? Honorable colleagues, have we? So I think, honorable colleague, I will advise that you step down this bill. Honorable Ja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Ameja Hababao is my name. I represent Chibok, Dambua, and Goza Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, from my understanding, a motion that was moved by Deputy Minority Leader has a prayer to stop or prevent or discourage the discourse from increasing the tariffs of electricity, while the prayer of this motion is calling on the discourse to do the needful, particularly in the areas of billing. Mr. Speaker, I had even wanted to raise a hand to make a contribution because I am equally a direct victim and my father is equally a direct victim of attitudes of this discourse because they are not properly regulated. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am building a house. The house is under construction, but as part of the process.
Honorable, I thought we are just to confirm to us whether
yes, I have confirmed
this motion is similar.
It's similar. It's not similar. Oh. They are not similar, sir. Increase in tariff is different from the prayers of this motion, sir. Thank you, sir. And I will be happy if we can contribute to this.
Honorable Abdul Samad, you have heard, so let's allow him to take it. At the end, members will decide. Okay? Thank you. Please go ahead.
Grateful to my honorable colleagues. Yes, concern prayers. Yeah, I think there's one important thing I think I want to bring to our attention. Yes, worry that's complaint from Nigerians. Who paid this?
Honorable Martins, please.
Who paid this?
Honorable Martins.
Marcus said, please can you sit down?
Who paid this cost for electric distribution facilities such as meters, cable and transformer to be installed without conveying ownership to the consumer who can be disconnected without prior notice? Also worried that Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission has watched helplessly while community, individual and corporate organizations assume the responsibility of providing electricity transmission facilities, meters, cables, transformer. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we all agree with me that even in our constituency, we do provide transformers, which is supposed to be the duty of discourse. More importantly, when this is provided, they ask you, your constituent is asking you to come and help them to install. All these are supposed to be the core duty of discourse. We cannot, as such, I have the prayer as such. The House resolved that to urge the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to compel the distribution companies to discontinue the assertive practice of estimated or arbitrary billing, and with immediate effect put in place an effective military plan which assures consumers of fair billing. Involve relevant provision of law and other standard agreements to penalize DISCO from exploiting or abusing the right of consumers. Involve a methodology among the distribution companies to compensate communities, individuals, and other private public entities for their investment in the distribution network. Then mandate the Committee on Power, when constituted, to interface the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission and distribution company DISCO to work and resolve limitations to provide excellent service delivery to Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, thanks. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Maureen.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Wacham Maureen Chinwe, representing the good people of Oyi Ayamelum Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Anambra State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my colleague. Thank you. I so second.
Honorable colleague, this is a utility-related motion, so just go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion, you say aye. Aye. Those against, you say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Power when constituted. The 10th order of the day is a motion on the need to address the flood incidents in Gamawa Federal Constituency, Bauchi State, standing in the name of Honorable Adamu Ibrahim Gamawa. Honorable Gamawa is hereby invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Adamu Ibrahim Gamawa from Gamawa Federal Constituency in Bauchi State. I rise this morning to move the motion on the need to address the flood incidents in Gamawa Federal Constituency, Bauchi State. This is an infrastructure-related motion, so I will just read some paragraphs and go straight to the prayers. The House notes that the torrential rainfall in most parts of Nigeria and the poor drainage management systems have resulted in flash floods within the country, and Gamawa Federal Constituency in Bauchi State is not exempted. Aware that the flash floods have even washed away a number of important culverts, bridges, and highways, worthy of note is the Gamawa-Zaki Highway, which ordinarily serves as the easiest gateway to motorists for the conveyance of farm produce, fertilizers, and goods within Bauchi State and neighboring states like Jigawa and Yobe states. Also aware that the flood disaster on the Gamawa-Azare Road has led to the loss of many lives due to accidents, stress, and attacks by armed robbers who capitalize on the gridlocks caused by the depleted state of the roads to dispossess motorists of their hard-earned money, goods, and valuables. The House believes that the federal government needs to employ urgent and proactive measures to mitigate the flooding and fix dilapidated roads, culverts, and bridges in order to curtail further disaster. My prayers. The House resolves to urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to provide relief assistance to the affected communities. Also urge the National Emergency Management Agency and the Northeast Development Commission to provide relief materials to the flood victims in the affected areas within Gamawa Federal Constituency in Bauchi State. Further urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing in collaboration with Federal Roads Maintenance Agency to commence immediate rehabilitation of Gamawa, Azare, and Zaki highways to prevent further disaster and deterioration. Again, urge the Ministry of Water Resources to create earth dams with a view to channeling this torrential rainwater into useful purposes. Further, mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance when constituted to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honorable Fakilat. Thank you, honorable colleagues. We go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Legislative Compliance when constituted. The 11th order of the day is a motion on the need to stop global service for communication, GSM, providers from assigning paid SIM cards, standing in the name of Honorable Boniface Sunday Emerengwa. Honorable Boniface is hereby invited to move the motion. Honorable Boniface? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Boniface Sunday Meregwa. I represent the group and the illustrious people of Ikwere, Nemo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Rivers State. Mr. Speaker, my motion is predicated on the inherent dangers associated with the reselling and the assigning of registered SIM cards that has the data and the information of the original owner. The House knows that the Global Service for Communication, GSM, came into Nigeria in 2001 with Econet, now Airtel, and NTM as the first providers. Also knows that advent of GSM enables Nigeria to have access to a variety of different services that were never possible or contemplated in the past, such as mobile banking services. Aware that GSM has helped tremendously to improve the business environment in Nigeria, thereby providing ease of doing business in the country. Also aware that SIM registration began in April 2010 upon directive from Nigeria Communication Commission, NCC, to track subscribers in the possible event of an abuse of the usage. Constant that the SIM registration entails the personal information and submission of individual biometric scan, which are retained in the SIM card by the provider. Worried that the SIM cards paid by the individuals but not used for 6 months are resold or reassigned to another subscriber. Also worried that after the registration, a fresh subscriber of pre-registered SIM card, the details of the earlier subscriber will still show when exposed to Truecaller's app. Regrets that bank alerts of old subscriber are sent to the new subscriber, vice versa, thereby exposing the customer to huge financial risk, particularly under the growing regime of Yahoo boys. It is resolved, mandate the Committee on Telecommunication, when consistent, to interface with global system for communication, GSM, providers to stop the providers from reselling or assigning already purchased SIM and report same within 2 weeks for the further legislative actions. Committee on Communication, Speaker, Committee on Communication to report same within 2 weeks of further legislative actions. I so move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Pascal.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Dr. Pascal Abodike. I represent here the Federal Constituency of Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my brother, Sunday. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Communication when constituted. The 12th order of the day is a motion on on the need to call to investigate attempt by the Director General of Budget Office of the Federation to amend existing legislations by executive fiat, standing in the name of Honorable Aminu Balili. Honorable Balili is hereby invited to move the motion.
The most beneficent, the most gracious, the most merciful. Mr. Speaker, sir, my highly respected colleagues, I remain Aminu Balele, representing the gentle and patriotic peoples of Dusama and Kurufi Federal Constituency. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir, I love Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I love my peoples. Oh, my peoples. Oh, my peoples.
Chairman, go ahead.
I was being advised by Caesars, by ranking members. We confer not. They advised me to step down my motion. But for further legislative consultation, based on that, the professional bodies and the councils will communicate more. Inshallah, when we come back from recess, we will communicate and we will present this motion back. Inshallah. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I step down my motion.
Thank you. Motion stepped down by the leave of the House. The 13th order of the day is a motion on the need to develop border communities across the country, standing in the name of Honorable Hussein Mohammed Jallo. Honorable Jallo is hereby invited to move the motion.
Honorable colleagues, I'm Hussein Mohammed Jallo, representing Igebi Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. My motion is on the need to develop border communities across the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House knows that the effectiveness of the country's national security is determined to a large extent by the level of protection of its borders, as well as the capacity to enforce border security for its own territorial well-being, sovereign integrity, international socio-economic progress and development. Also know that the welfare of the border communities is a strategic factor influencing the potency or not of border protection and security, and the rise in the criminal activities of violent non-state actors such as terrorist groups and smugglers, among others, can be tied to the vulnerability of these communities. Further, know that globally, border communities have a long history of state marginalization, and the poor management of those communities has exacerbated security risks of the country. Concerns that the apparent laxative attitude towards border communities in Nigeria leaves them vulnerable to criminal manipulation, exploitation, subjugation, and control. Thus, they can easily become facilitators of these crimes that pose a threat to national security. Aware that the Border Community Development Agency was established to develop border communities by providing basic sustainable amenities to such communities. Cognizant that the welfare, security, and development of border communities should occupy a paramount position in the country's national security strategy. Also cognizant that the provision of social amenities in the border communities will encourage the residents therein to stay and protect the interest and territorial integrity of Nigeria. Resolves. The House resolved call on the federal government to improve national security by prioritizing and influencing the development of licit and viable local economies in the border communities across Nigeria. 2. Also call on the federal government to adequately fund the Border Community Development Agency, BCDA, to effectively carry out its mandate. Nigeria shares borders with 4 countries, namely Chad, Cameroon, Niger, and Benin Republic, 21 border states, 93 border local governments, thousands of border countries. The Act mandates BCDA to develop communities 30 kilometers from the border. 3. Urge the Border Community Development Agency to ensure the development of border communities by providing them with fundamental social amenities, as well as partnering with relevant agencies to improve their capacity for self-sustenance revenue generation, and the abstinence from the crime and enticement. 4, and lastly, mandate the Committee on Special Duties when constituted to ensure implementation. I so move.
Honorable Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is to support the motion as ably moved by my colleague.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Special Duties when constituted. The 14th order of the day is a motion on the need to support discharged National Youth Service Corps members in transitioning to the labor market, standing in the name of Honorable Mohammed Mukhtar. Honorable Mukhtar is hereby invited to move the motion.
Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I am Honorable Architect Mohammed Mukhtar Zandan Kazauri. I rise to move a motion on the need to support discharged National Youth Service Corps members in transitioning to the labor market. The House notes that the National Youth Service Corps under the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development plays a significant role in helping graduates acquire skills by allowing them to gain real-world experiences. Also notes that the places of primary assignments where Corps members are posted enable them to acquire practical skills and experiences that corresponds with their level of education and work habits, and possibly led them to direct contact with potential employers. The House should be aware that the NYSC program is important in preparing graduates.
Honorable Abdusamad and Dixon, please pay attention.
Into the labor market by providing a perfect juncture to deploy policies to enhance graduate lives. Cognizant that the NYSC monthly allowances given to Corps members help cushion the hardship they face and give them enabling environment to plan for the future. Nevertheless, after the NYSC convocation, most graduates find it difficult to face the reality of not receiving monthly allowances or other NYSC privileges. Worried that the transition of Corps members from the NYSC program to the labor market without any allowances to support them is fraught with challenges. This is because graduates looking for their first job are generally among the most vulnerable groups in the labor market because of the increased competition and the reality that vacancies are preferentially filled by people who already have work experience. Further notes that helping graduates to enter and remain in the labor market is an important part of policies as they help to promote economic growth and obtain better living conditions. Again, notes that the successful employment benefit young people not only for national welfare but also for social connections and mental health, promoting rapid social connections. They're also aware that the Nigerian Economic Summit Group predicts 37% unemployment and 45% poverty by 2023, highlighting economic challenges. Concerned that the rate of unemployment will continue to rise due to slow economic growth and the inability of the economy to absorb the 4 to 5 million new entrants into the Nigerian market annually. Also concerned that the longer a person is unemployed, the higher the risk that such person will lose work habits and faith in their abilities, or will even build a passive attitude towards the need to be employed. So with these, the House resolves to urge the National Directorate of Employment to undertake a survey and develop a database that would track employment status of graduates and Corps members which will be essential for evidence-based decision. Secondly, also urge the Federal Ministry of Youth, Sports and Development through the NYSC scheme to liaise with the underlisted ministries and develop a workable plan that will ensure corps members are retained in their places of primary assignment for 1 year after their mandatory service, thus allowing graduates to find employment opportunities. These ministries are Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. The House further resolves and urge the executive arm of government to create a body under the supervision of the Ministry of Youth and Education to coordinate the screening and payment disbursement processes. Finally, the House should mandate the Committee on Youth, Labor, Employment and Productivity when constituted to monitor the implementation of the Jointly Development Plan. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dennis. To the prayer, let him second. You can make your amendments later. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My name is Dennis Idahosa. I represent Ovia Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I'm from Edo State. I rise to second this motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
You can proceed with your amendment.
Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Anthony Adebayo Adepoju, representing the people of Ibarapa Central, Ibarapa North Federal Constituency. I am from Oyo State. I think since this is a matter of employment, and I think while doing things like this, there has to be equity and fairness. So I also believe that the Committee on Federal Character should be part of the committees that should be involved in this, looking into this motion. So.
Those in support of this, okay, any seconder to this amendment? Honorable Martins.
The Right Honorable Speaker, Martin Sesson is my name, member representing Oron, Mbu, Okobo, Udunko, Urefun Federal Constituency. I rise this afternoon to second the amendments as ably proposed by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Those in support of this amendment should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Another amendment? Okay. Honorable LP Lagos.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my names are Barrister Jesse Okejo Onakalos. I represent the people of Nigeria, especially the people of Ocho de Solo Federal Constituency, the heartbeat of Lagos. Mr. Speaker, my amendment falls on prayer 2 to urge the Federal Ministry of Youth, Sports Development to create a database through the NYSC scheme. No, just let me take it. To urge the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports and Development through the NYSC scheme to liaise with the underleased ministry and create a database of all graduates and youth corpers in line with this very good project. This plan fiscal, this is my sole amendment. No, it's different.
The Deputy Speaker. Number 1. Okay. So are you withdrawing your amendment? Okay. Okay. Okay, Honorable George.
I represent the good people of Anocha, Njikoka, Dunukofia Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I want to add to the prayers of the mover that since we've passed a 500 billion palliative for the executive, that there is need to add this present NYSC that will pass out into the data bank, because I have written you of graduates of 5 years that have not been employed. So the amendment, therefore, is to add to the palliative that they will quickly be joined in this palliative, Mr. Speaker. That's,
So any seconder to this amendment? Any seconder? Honorable Pascal.
Yes, my name, Mr. Speaker, I am Honorable Pascal Abodike. I represent here the Federal Constituency of Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I second the amendment ably proposed by our brother, the Deputy Minority Whip. I so second.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, DS.
Thank you, most distinguished Speaker. My name is Benjamin Okezie Carlo. I represent the good people of Nigeria, starting from Benin Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Abia State. I raise the point of order relying on Order 9. Order 9, Rule 1, Sub 4. Mr. Speaker, it reads, under rules of debate, the member must confine his contributions to the subject under discussion and may not introduce any matter irrelevant thereto. Mr. Speaker, based on this, I want to move that the motion that is before the House is actually on an issue that is different from what have been presented by the mover of the motion, the issue of palliative. I wish to move, Mr. Speaker, that the mover of this motion confine his debate on the provisions of our rules and be well guided. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, DS. Your point of order noted. Honorable George, will you want to still maintain that you want us to move, or you want to withdraw?
listening to my leader, I don't have any option than to step down my amendment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. So I think we can put the question. Those in support of this motion as amended should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Youth, Labor, Employment and Productivity when constituted. The 15th order, what? Sorry, a federal character. Thank you. The 15th order of the day is a motion on need for the dredging, the silting and rehabilitation of Goronyo Dam, Sokoto State, standing in the name of Honorable Bashir Usman Gorau. Honorable Gorau is hereby invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Comrade Bashir Usman Gorau is my name. I represent Goronyo Gada Prayer Constituency. I am from Sokoto State, Mr. Speaker. Standing this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, is presenting a motion in urgent need for dredging, desilting, and rehabilitation of Goronyo Dam of Goronyo Local Government, Sokoto State. Acknowledging the fact that, Mr. Speaker, Goronyo Dam is the third largest dam in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with a storage capacity of almost 1 billion cubic of meters of water. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, over time, the dam has shrunk to less than 10% of its original capacity. Significantly, Mr. Speaker, the role of dam across the country is to boost irrigation farming and to increase agricultural productivity and generate employment across the country. Mr. Speaker, concern here the entire Fadama community of Goronyo local government, Gada local government, Koro local government, Wurno local government, Sokoto North, Wamoko local government, and Silame local government. Mr. Speaker, up to Kebbi State, Argungu, Kamba, and Auji local government are a serious threat during their rainy and dry season. Mr. Speaker,
are you reading from another script? You should restrict what you are going to mention on what is on the paper, please.
Not the critical. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. Not the critical.
Order, please. Honorable colleagues.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to the prayer. The prayer number 1, Mr. Speaker, urge the Ministry of Water Resources to promptly initiate a dredging and desilting exercise for Goronyo Dam to restore its original storage capacity and ensure the availability of adequate water supply. Mr. Speaker, prayer number 2, also urge the Ministry of Water Resources to include the dredging and desilting and rehabilitation of Goronyo Dam, Sokoto State in 2024 budget estimate. And Mr. Speaker, prayer number 3, mandate the Committee on Water Resources to ensure implementation. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Any seconder?
Honorable Raba, please take your seat, please.
Right, Honorable, go ahead.
Right Honorable Speaker, my name is Dr. Patrick Umar. I represent the good people of Ikorekpene, Esienudim, Oborokara Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by my colleague. I so second.
Colleagues, we put amendment. Honorable Shoba, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Olumide Oshoba, representing Abeokuta North, Obafemi and Odeda Federal Constituency from Ogun State. I want to amend prayer 2 to include the Ministry of Budget and Planning and Ministry of Water Resources to include the dredging, desilting, and rehabilitation of Goronyo Dam, Sokoto in 2024 budget estimates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder to this amendment? Right, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much, my dear colleagues. My name is Honorable Fayinka Musis Oluwatoyin. I represent everybody in Musin 2 Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. I rise this afternoon to second the amendment as ably moved by Honorable Segun Osoba from Abeokuta.
Those in support of this amendment should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Any more amendment? Right, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, sir, my fellow colleagues, I am Right Honorable Ino Garba, member representing the good people of Yamatudeba Federal Constituency. I am from Gombe State, the jewel in the savannah. Mr. Speaker, I want to propose an amendment to form prayer 3 and prayer 3 to become prayer 4. Looking at the significant importance of this motion, which involves technicalities of desilting and dredging of a dam, which the mover even in his presentation point out the dangers some areas are facing. I want to make prayer 3, I want to build prayer 3 in the list of prayers to engage for environment mistakes so that we can have proper environmental impact analysis through the Ministry of Environment. Mr. Speaker, that's my proposal.
So your prayer is to include?
Yes, to be included as
Federal Ministry of Environment, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any seconder? Honorable Nadaraba. Did you praise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Abubakar Hassan El Araba is my name. I represent the good people of Awedo, Makana Federal Constituency. I'm from Nasarawa State, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the amendment ably moved by my dear colleague. I so second. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion, this amendment, should say aye. Those against, you say nay. The ayes have it. So we go to the main motion. Those in support of this motion as amended, should say aye. Those against, you say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Water Resources. Any other committee recommended thereafter? No. Environment when constituted. The 16th order of the day is a motion on the need to safeguard the academic pursuit of Nigerian medical students in Ukraine, standing in the name of Honorable Anthony Adebayo Adepoju, and one other honorable member, Honorable Adepoju, is hereby invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Dr. Anthony Adebayo Adepoju, representing the good people of Ibarapa Central, Ibarapa North, Federal Constituency of the Payseta State, Oyo State. I rise to move a motion on the need to safeguard the academic pursuit of Nigerian medical students in Ukraine. The House notes the plight of Nigerian medical students hitherto studying in different universities in Ukraine, with academic pursuits that have been thrown into uncertainty, confusion, and threats by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. The House also notes that the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, which is the regulatory body for medical professionals in Nigeria, released a statement on its Twitter handle stating that medical and dental degree certificates issued by medical schools in Ukraine from 2022 will not be honored by the body until the commencement of normal academic activities in Ukraine. Further notes that the Council resolved not to recognize any online studies by Nigerian students in Ukraine and any part of the world. Aware that these students have either completed or are still on medical clinical attachment, which commenced in April 2022. Concerned that there are thousands of Nigerian students studying medicine and related courses in Ukraine universities who, by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria regulations, would not only be affected in their academic pursuit, but may as well be thrown into absolute jeopardy. Also concerned that the bulk of these medical students haven't spent 4 to 6 years in the pursuit of their respective academic and professional ambitions, going by the Medical Dental Council of Nigeria regulation, are in serious risk of not only losing these years of rigorous training, but huge financial losses to their parents. Disturbed that by this policy, the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria intends to truncate the academic dreams and professional ambitions of thousands of Nigerian medical students in Ukraine as a result of ongoing development that is absolutely a case of force majeure. Also disturbed that at a time when there are very obvious and glaring dearth of medical personnel in Nigerian primary and secondary health institutions, with a propensity to grow worse, this insidious policy rolled out by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria may in fact have debilitating consequences on the nation's health sector. Concerned that the Medical Dental Council of Nigeria did not explore other pragmatic and mutually benefiting strategies done by some other countries that will enable Nigerian medical students continue with their academic programs without delay, distortion, or loss of time. Further disturbed that the negative effects of the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria policy is far-reaching and, if allowed to take effect, possess a serious threat to Nigeria's educational and medical development, untimely soiling the image of our beloved country amongst the Committee of Nations. The House resolves to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the circumstances connected with the decision of the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria concerning all Nigerian medical students in Ukraine, with a view of providing a better and lasting solution to the challenges faced by the students, and report back to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? My right honorable from Adamawa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. My name is Kwamoti Bitrus Laori, representing Jamsa Numan Lamurde Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so second.
Any amendment? Right honorable.
I am representing everyone in Musi 2 Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. I want to amend as follows. Pending the time the ad hoc committee will have finished and report to the House, that the House should, as a matter of urgency, mandate the Federal Ministry of Health to write the MDCN to suspend any action as regards the recognition of online pending the time the ad hoc committee will have finished the investigation and report back to the House accordingly. I so amend.
Leader, you want to comment? Point of order, or you want to second?
I'm not really sure what I want to do, Mr. Speaker. Maybe it's an amendment that rather than set up an ad hoc committee for 4 weeks, we should set up a fact-finding committee within 1 week to reach out to Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. This is something to be discussed between a group from here, 3-4 persons, and the head to explain, including the mover of the motion, so that we can have a solution to this in 2-3 days. Instead of 4 weeks. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is this supposed to be an amendment to the prayer to replace ad hoc with
yes,
fact-finding?
Fact-finding committee and give them 1 week.
Okay, I thought there was a motion for amendment, but it was not seconded before you actually move your own. So I think we should take the second leg, allow a seconder, and then we take your own. Any seconder to the first amendment? Any seconder? No. Okay. Any seconder to the second amendment? Moved by Professor, the leader. Honorable Osby, my good brother.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Gono Ziribo. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. I represent the good people of Unkwere, Isu, Wangalan, Jaba Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved by the majority leader. I second, Mr. Speaker.
So we put the question, those in support of this amendment should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. On the main motion, those in support of this motion as amended should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion will be referred to an ad hoc committee or a fact-finding committee to be constituted in due course. The 17th order of the day is a motion on the need to stop kidnappings and killings in Danguziri, Gimi, Gubi, Doka, Randa, Zagi communities in Makarfi Kudan, Federal Constituency of Kaduna State, standing in the name of Honorable Umar Shehu Ajilo. Honorable Ajilo is hereby invited to move the motion.
Thank you, my honorable speaker, distinguished my honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Umar Shehu Ajilu. I represent a very good people of Makaripikudan Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I am from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, my motions today is pertaining the threat of the national security. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, is a need to stop the kidnapping and killings in Danguziri, Gimi, Guibi, Doka, Randa, Zagi communities, all in Makaripikudan Federal Constituency in Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permissions, I'm going directly to the number 3 and 4 paragraphs. Number 3, our worries is that the high rate of kidnapping and incidental attack of Makaripikudan's Federal Constituency in Kaduna State, which has led to the death of several people, include one Alhaji Musa Napadi of Danguziri, Alhaji Ado Doka of Doka Village, and Alhaji Kurma. Also, number 4, also worry about that the recent kidnap of 4 women and 1 girl in Gimi and Danguziri Road of Makarfi local Gamawa respectively, which happened within 1 week. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I'm going directly to the prayers. Our prayer number 1, Mr. Speaker, we ask the House to observe a minute silence in honor of the deceased victim of the wanton killing in Makaripikudan Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. Number 2 prayer, Mr. Speaker, we ask the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Army, Department of State Security Services to collaborate to ensure that the culprits involved in the heinous crimes in Makaripikudan Constituency of Kaduna State are brought to book. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, my last prayer is to mandate the Committee on Police, Army, and other security agencies when constituted to ensure the full compliance. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I so move.
Let's put it to question first. Honorable Mark Esed.
Thank you, the People's Speaker. Mark Esed is my name, representing Uyo, Urwan, Nsit Atai, and Ibesipositan Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State, the destination state. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion moved by my dear brother and colleague. I so second.
Thank you. Honorable Mepalas. Is it okay? Please don't touch it again. Once you touch it once, leave it. Stop touching it. It will just, once you see red light, you can now talk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kabiru Amadou, my palace is my name. I represent the entire people of Gosos and Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Zamfara State. Mr. Speaker, my amendment is I want to add a prayer to this very important motion. My prayer is that I want to mandate the House Committee on Defense, when constituted, to interface with the service chiefs on the issue of insecurity in the Northwest and a proper solution, Mr. Speaker, and to report back to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative actions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder to this amendment? Right Honorable at the back.
So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Bashir Zubair Usman is my name, representative Benin Federal Constituency. I beg to second.
Have you spoken? You have seconded? Okay. So those in support of this amendment should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. Those in support of this motion as amended should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committees on Police Affairs and Army when constituted. Part of the prayer requires that we should observe a minute silence, so please may we rise. May the soul of the departed rest in peace. Amen. There is an announcement from the leader of the Labour Party. It reads as follows. This is to invite all honorable members of the Labour Party extraction. Its first meeting is scheduled to hold today immediately after plenary in committee room 1.44. Announcer, Honorable George Ozinobi. Leader. Can you please move for the House to adjourn?
Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, having exhausted all items in the order paper for 25th July 2023, I rise to move that the House do adjourn to the 26th of July, Wednesday, 2023 at 11 a.m. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the House do stand adjourned. I so second.
Thank you. Those in support of this, you say aye. Aye. Those against you say nay. So you want to stay, Abi? So the ayes will go while the nay will stay. House adjourned through tomorrow, Tuesday by 11. Thank you.